Hello, welcome to Chutzpah time. Hi, Jasmine.
Hi, Jacqui. Welcome.
So nice to be here.
Absolutely a blessing.
So today, this is the final part of our All About the U.S. series of July. On this last and final episode, we want to talk about the First Amendment.
Haha.
So the First Amendment is pretty much has to do with the Bill of Rights that protects freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of assembly, freedom of press, and right to petition. Jasmine, what does that make you think about? Or when you hear all these rights, all these freedoms, what comes to mind?
Yeah, so it just reminds me of the importance of freedom. Basically, it breaks down what describes us as people and our culture, right? And everything that I might stand for, I have the freedom to stand for that.
Right, yeah.
So it's really powerful, and it makes me think of all the things I stand for.
Yeah.
And the fact that I am free to express what I stand for.
Yeah, express yourself, of course.
What about you?
Especially when I hear freedom of speech, it makes me think of self-expression. When you don't have that, and people can be, sent to jail for expressing their dissatisfaction with the government, it really changes the environment. Obviously, you live in a very different environment than we do here in America. And as we've been seeing with protests and people speaking up, it's so important to have this right and not take it for granted and really use it to, like you said, really focus on the things that you believe in. And it's very, very fundamental, I think. It's not obvious.
Right.
A lot of countries still don't have absolute freedom of speech, and there are censors, and there are certain things you can't say and can't publish. So I really think this one is an important one, and it's the First Amendment. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's so cool. When I think of self-expression, I think about all the times where, for me, self-expression, hits home, And there were times where, I felt like what I had to say or what I was thinking is unimportant or probably not true, right?
Oh.
And it took me to be independent and earn my own living.
Yeah.
To really want to consider me as a person expressing myself.
Wow.
And it took a long time. And I am especially sensitive to societal labeling. And I was labeled as a lesbian, as a gay person.
Yeah.
And that's who I was, right? In the class, she was the gay one.
Okay.
And I felt like I couldn't be anything else other than that.
Wow. So you felt like, it's pretty much has stigma. And the problem with that, it locks you, like you said, you can't, that's the only thing that defines you. That's the only thing you are. And nobody sees like the other things about you, like maybe your hobbies or interests or different things.
Yeah.
That's sad. I mean,
A little bit.
It is, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's part of growing up. You eventually discover who you are and other aspects of yourself.
Yeah, and it takes time, and it takes you acknowledging, because after you, when you're super young, you start putting yourself in that box. And so after you're done with school, that's when like you're kind of shocked, right?
You're out.
It's the after effect.
Out in the world.
Yeah. And so like I feel like that's why at work I didn't used to say that I'm gay, or like try and really express that I'm gay.
Yeah.
And I didn't like when other people were like overly expressing that they're gay.
Yeah.
Because I felt like it was putting themselves in a box. And it's like, I get it, you fuck women, but you do other
Oh
things.
my god.
Like in the most raw way to say it.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. So I didn't used to say I have a girlfriend. Because I didn't want to be put in the box of...
Do you think for some people, though, it's about self-expression and about, like, being maybe out, being gay and publicly out is more than just who they sleep with?
Exactly.
Maybe they need that, you know?
Exactly. That's their way to express themselves.
Yeah.
Is to say, I'm gay. Like,
Yeah.
this is me.
Right.
And I didn't understand that for so long. And I almost like didn't want to be friends with people that were overly expressive of their gayness. But of course they had the opposite approach of they had to hide that they were gay. And it was shaming if they were, right? It was like shameful to be gay, where their situation. And for me, it was everybody was telling me that I was gay.
Right.
And that was...
You were fighting that in a way, like...
Right.
But what about... It's a different experience. You not only, like... People didn't wait for you to come out. They would just, like, outed you and say, oh, you look gay. You're probably gay. And this started at a very young age.
12 years old.
Yeah, and you kind of wanted to rebel and say, yeah, but I'm also other things.
And it was almost like, I don't know that I'm gay.
Well, yeah, everybody's journey is different, for sure.
Exactly. And so I didn't have the opportunity to discover that I'm gay. I was just labeled constantly as...
Yeah.
You're gay. Like, you're gay.
You were a tomboy.
I mean, I am gay. They were not wrong.
They were right. No, but I know what you mean.
Yeah.
It interrupted your own personal journey and self-discovery, and therefore you kind of rebelled against it and was maybe resentful towards it, and then a little resentful towards people that were expressive, because you felt like, you know, it struck a chord with your own personal stuff.
Because I was like, we get it, you're gay.
Yeah.
I was responding to my own trauma almost, and saying like, you're so many other I would like to know other things about you, right?
Yeah.
Which is, it's not the point that the person is trying to make. But it
I mean, I think it's beautiful. You know, like, I don't mind it when, like, certain people are very expressive of their sexuality or sexual orientation. I think it's fabulous, and I think they should do whatever makes them happy, you know?
Yeah, no,
So for
now
you,
I
it was
love
a different, it was a different process, but now you don't feel that way anymore.
Now I love it, and I think it's fun.
Yeah.
And how awesome it is that you can do that.
Yeah, it's very important because, you know, speaking about the U.S. in comparison to other countries, I believe in Russia it's still illegal to be gay.
Yeah.
Obviously, most of the Middle East, except Israel, it's illegal to be gay. Israel is the only Middle Eastern country where it's legal and celebrated every
Right.
year with Pride Month, and we have a great parade. So it's very relevant and very important that people feel free to express that part of their life to in public and to the world, and feel, you know, pride, being proud of who you are and free. And yeah, I mean, speaking of expressing yourself and gayness, one of our favorite shows is RuPaul's Drag Race.
Yeah.
I personally think it's the best show on television.
I must agree.
That's my own opinion. But it's such a beautiful show because you see people in their art expressing themselves in the most, I don't know, it's just so beautiful, you know, creating beauty upon themselves.
Right.
And hearing people's stories, you know, I love, most of the time, my favorite part of the episode is when they're getting ready in the back room to go on stage, and they're like talking, and a lot of things come up, and a lot of people share personal things that they've gone through. And I just think it's so beautiful the way that we are able to be exposed and aware to what gay people, trans people, drag queens go through, and learn about their experience and appreciate then even more what they do, because a lot of times they put their own lives in danger
Yeah.
to do this, to do drag. And just to see people that are so passionate about what they're doing and so devoted to their art and entertaining and making people happy and making people laugh is just so beautiful. And I wish I want to be a drag queen.
Right.
I mean, I just think the whole premise and idea of celebrating everybody, you know, it doesn't matter your color, your size, your age, there is a drag queen for anybody.
Right.
And I just think it's such a beautiful thing that everybody gets to express themselves. Everybody gets to be their alter ego, you know, their little kid inside that just wants to be extra and, you know, or funny or just gorgeous, or on the contrary, a little disturbing and like poking at the society and stretching the boundaries of beauty. I just think it's so neat and so fun to watch and be a part, and I feel like it's a movement, and I just can't say enough good things about this show. Like, I love it so much, and I love drag and drag queens, and I applaud them for what they do.
Yeah. We're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, I'm gonna tell you what I think about Drag Race.
Ooh, I can't wait.
Tiny.
Okay, bye. Hi.
Hi.
Welcome back.
Well, you know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah.
So, first of all, I agree with every single word you said.
Thanks. Sorry, I got into a little preaching mode over there.
No, I love it. You're passionate about it. It's beautiful.
Thanks.
And the thing that I see evolving now in drag, you know, if you watch RuPaul Drag Race and you watch the first seasons, they really talk about literally risking their lives to do drag. Like, they have stories of police arrest and just really hard to hear stories, but true.
Yeah.
And now that, you know, it's so much pushing into mainstream, they are now looking into, I don't want to be an alcoholic, right? Or what type of drag do I represent? And how do I use my platform to say important things that are important to me?
Right.
A lot of them are all about the music videos and writing music and producing music. And it's beautiful to see how they're elevating. Like RuPaul created the platform.
Thank you, Mama Ru.
Right? to bring drag to the mainstream, but it's really these queens that are elevating drag.
Yeah.
And making it a state, right? Like a point of view, a way to express what's important to you.
Yeah.
And it's really meaningful, and I think it's changing the world.
Yeah, I agree.
It's changing my world.
Absolutely. I really feel like drag is one of the ultimate forms of self-expression. And it's, yeah, I love it. I love drag queens. I love drag. Thank you, RuPaul, for bringing it to our living rooms every week, and exposing us to this beautiful art form and self-expression, and it's just, you know, at the end of the day, it's a win-win type of approach where the artists get to express themselves and even heal their own traumas and bad experiences through this art form. And we, as the viewers, get inspiration, we get entertained, we get a relief from our day-to-day life, we get to laugh at ourselves. We, you know, it's like stand-up.
Yeah, we get inspired.
We get inspired. Stand-up is another form of self-expression through art. I mean, it is an art.
It's so difficult to do.
Yeah.
And it's just, there is being funny with a group of people, like being the funny person and the one with the quick mind and the punchline.
Right.
But standing up in front of, like, even in front of 3 people, like, for, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and telling a story that will then make the viewer laugh and change their mind about something. That is the most difficult. It's easier to do a TED Talk about what you accomplished, right? And things that you learned. It's easier to tell a story in general, but then to put a humor twist on that, insanely difficult.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm very passionate about comedy, and
I mean, I really believe that humor has a healing power.
100%.
And we are very like that, like you and I.
Yeah.
We're, you know, cynical, we're very sarcastic, we have a lot of self-humor, and, you know, what are we gonna do, cry?
Yeah.
We better laugh. It's better to laugh than cry. And, you know, a lot of stand-up comedians they use their comedy to really bring awareness to very, very painful subjects.
Right.
You know, Dave Chappelle came out with a show talking about George Floyd's murder, and the rise of the Black Lives Matter, the Black Lives Matter movement, and it's important, but through comedy he's able, and he's been doing this his entire career. This is nothing new about Dave Chappelle. From the Chappelle Show to his comedy specials and many other projects he's done, he's always able to bring a mirror to the American society and say, like, hey, this is not a good look.
Right.
And he does it in such a profound way. He just won a prize. Gosh, I forgot the name of it.
Me too.
It's a very important prize in comedy, like a lifetime achievement type thing. And it's just really, really, it sticks with you, you
Right.
know? It's not like sometimes we get so overwhelmed with posts and our news feed and this and that, and sometimes we have freedom of speech combined with social media. Sometimes everybody's screaming, you can't hear anything anymore.
The only thing that what remains with you is negative.
Yeah, and it becomes too much. That
Right.
You just can't handle it. You get depressed, you get sad, and you don't feel the energy of the movement anymore. You don't feel the motivation to, be active. It deactivates you. And what I love about comedians like Dave Chappelle is they are able, because you are in a comfortable space, in a safe space of comedy, of entertainment, they're able to bring things to your vision. And because it makes such an impression on you, it kind of sticks with you.
Yeah. It's memorable.
It's very memorable, and it really creates an experience for
Exactly.
you. You know what I mean? So it's not just scrolling on social media. It's a moment, you see something, you're like, oh my God, that's terrible. That's really bad. Maybe you click on it, look into it, but then you move on. Not to say that that's not important, to obviously spread awareness and be active in social media and wherever you can. But, comedy is such a unique art form that the artists are able to insert such, sad, difficult ideas sometimes and make us relate.
Right. It's really cool. Very special. And I think it comes from their dark sides, and they're able to twist it around.
Yeah.
And I think that's important to say, because sometimes I have become too cynical or too sarcastic, and you become bitter.
Right.
And that's important to not stay in the bitterness, because you're looking at things with humor, but in a way you're not really taking anything seriously, which is good, but it's not positive. So just a quick reminder, humor is healing power, but how you feel is still important.
Yeah.
And it's not an excuse to kind of go about your day with a little bit of bitterness. Life still matters at the end of the day. So I think it's a good reminder for me, because at some point I was laughing about everything, honey.
I see what you mean.
I was overly using humor.
Yeah.
And it's a lack of creativity, of like using that creative mind to do something. So there's self-expression. I feel like it splits into two. There's self. There's the part of you and what you're feeling and what you're thinking.
Yeah.
And then there's the part of expression, of how are you actually putting it out there. If you're overly congesting the self, if you're just feeling, right, like a sponge, taking in everything,
Yeah.
and there's no expression,
Right.
you might be overwhelmed.
Yeah. I understand.
On
what
the
you're
flip
saying.
side, if you're just projecting, if you're just expressing, but nothing is really coming from a place of self,
Yeah.
then again, it's meaningless. It's not
Yeah.
relatable.
It's just for attention. It's not coming from a sincere place.
Exactly. So even in self-expression, we have to be cautious.
Yeah.
We have to be mindful.
Absolutely. Especially when we're on social media, we have to understand, we're putting it out there for everybody to see, and don't just like dump your everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you feel like sometimes you were overwhelmed or
Honestly, every day, pretty much, I go into social media and I'm overwhelmed, and I see all these terrible things, and people are posting very important things. It's just a lot, and it's not. I feel on one hand ashamed saying it, because it's like things that I really care about and I want to know about, but sometimes it's overwhelmed. I told Vlad, when we were kids, our parents used to watch the news at 8 o'clock every night. That's when the news was on, at 8 o'clock at night. Maybe you would read the newspaper in the morning, but that was it. Now, the news is in front of you all of the time. You don't, Facebook used to be just about
friends
and family
catching
members
up,
connecting. Look what I had for lunch today, which at the time I hated it. I thought it was the most shallow thing ever. Like, who cares about whatever everybody had for lunch, and it was annoying me. But now I miss those days.
Now it's turned on you.
Yeah, I miss the days when everybody would just be like, hey, have a great day,
God.
and post a picture of themselves with whoever. Because now every time I go on Facebook, it's just, news report after news report after news report, and people are mad and angry, and we're not connecting. I don't feel like, Instagram's a bit better. I feel like, because it's not posts the way it is on Facebook, it's not as bad. But yeah, that's why, I just think we need to remember, like, to focus, like, what we're putting out there, so it doesn't become so crowded and so loud. But at the same time, there's really important things to say, so I understand. And I try to not get overwhelmed. Like, now I don't get on my phone the minute I wake up.
Yeah.
I, like, drink my water and make my coffee and meditate for 10 minutes.
Nice.
And only then I will look into, like, social media and stuff.
You know what I started to do? Every morning I wake up with a different song. So
Nice.
I put it on.
That's so cool.
And then I just go into music instead of, like, social media.
Yeah. And I don't know, maybe it's just me. Let us know. Are you feeling overwhelmed with news and just a lot of things? Or do you feel like this is the time, because it is important stuff, so...
I mean, at least we're standing up and showing, at least we're self-expressing ourselves.
Right.
So I get it. I when on days where I'm like overwhelmed, you know what I do? I watch Drag Race.
Yeah. And that's interesting because part of the First Amendment is freedom of the press. So pretty much I kind of interpret that as journalism, as, freedom to investigate and report to the public, which is very, very important. And we all know our current president does not like to, does not connect. I don't know how to put it nicely. Is not very pro-press or pro-journalism or pro-media, as he puts it, media.
But he's pro of expressing his own.
Right.
He's pro of freedom of press.
Right, of his own ideas on Twitter. But that's not journalism, honey.
That's just Twitter.
Right. But we need to remember what the role of the news is.
Yeah.
It's not to divide us. It's to inform us.
Yes.
And I think that's really important because journalists are the ones that investigate. Journalists are the ones that go and connect the dots for us when they see things that are wrong.
Yeah.
And they bring it to our attention. Without the media, without press, we would not be aware of a lot of things that are going on.
Without freedom of press.
Exactly.
Which is lacking in a lot of countries.
Yeah.
In still most of the world, you're risking your life when you're a journalist. That's like how it started, with trying to provide the truth of the event.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes risking your life.
Yeah. And sometimes I feel like journalism can also be very powerful by just informing you. So it doesn't have to have an opinion about the information.
Right.
Like you're talking about journalists that they risk their lives. They go to, countries in conflict. They go to war zones. They document what's happening. And sometimes that's even more powerful than saying anything about it. It's just saying, this is going on. You should know about it.
So many journalists got hurt during protests.
Yeah. Of course. And, we're seeing what's happening in China right now with Hong Kong. And all of these things that we are aware of, people are making sure that we are. So it's very important to support journalism. It is a form of self-expression, in a way, because you choose to focus your life on bringing awareness to things.
It's, I think it's amazing. Amazing work.
Yeah. And we need to remember also that it's not all the news or the media or journalists are bad. We just need to uplift and support the good ones that are focusing on giving us the information in the most pure way and the most accurate way and neutral way.
Yeah.
So we're not divided.
Never. I hope. Well, Jacqui.
Yes, Jasmine.
Do you have anything to add about... Yeah?
Yeah, no. I mean, there's more parts of the First Amendment, like the right to petition, which is very important. Freedom of assembly, which is very important to gather, to unite, to assemble. And I just, I really appreciate this amendment. I want to say thank you to the First Amendment of existing. I think in the United States, we really see a lot of beautiful forms of this amendment. And we see it in action, through, like we said, drag, stand-up, journalism, protesting,
Being gay.
being free to be gay, and freedom of religion is part of the First Amendment. And now more than ever, we're seeing it in action. We're seeing people using their First Amendment and expressing themselves, speaking up, bringing awareness to things that are so, so important that we need to fix. So I'm just glad to be, even though America has a lot of minuses, I am glad to be in a country where we can do all those things, and we can express ourselves, and we can oppose our government. So yeah, I'm even reminding to myself, even though sometimes I get overwhelmed and it's a lot and everything is so important and everything sometimes gets so big and scary, and like, we live in a terrible country and all this stuff is fucked up, and how are you going to fix it? We're working on it. Like, at least we can work on it, and we can, even this podcast is a form of self-expression and freedom of speech, because we could not say what we said on this episode and many of this series,
Right.
if we were, let's say, in Russia or Saudi Arabia or China, even. So I'm grateful to the United States, and this series taught me a lot about our country.
Actually, hearing from other people and bringing other people to our podcast that have helped us kind of learn more about what it is like. And their challenges with self-expression. And learning throughout this month about the importance of our rights and what does it mean to be an American. And I'm very happy to be here and be part of this country.
Me too.
And you know what? Sometimes when things are really good, we're kind of hoping they won't change, and things do change. And now that things are a little bad, they're gonna change. You know what I mean? So,
November.
Thank God November is coming, and we're gonna be able to vote and use our freedom to make our own decisions. And you know what? With everything going on right now, even the voting system is starting to change, because people are realizing that maybe when we set it up this way, maybe it wasn't the greatest idea. Or maybe it fit then and now we need to change it. So it's wonderful. At the end of the day, when we see things that are not going the way we want them to go, the idea of freedom and the First Amendment is to basically allow you to express that and help change it.
Exactly.
And we can focus on that, So it's really important. And
you can make change just by expressing yourself. Like you said in the beginning of the episode, people that are openly gay and very out there, they may be just the person that a young gay person, somebody's in the closet needs to see. Somebody who is out and happy and proud and everything's okay,
Right.
So you can make a difference just by expressing yourself.
And being you. And it's so important. At times when I wasn't sure who I was, I did things like traveling and writing, meeting new people, changing careers to try and figure out who I am.
Yeah.
So change is a good thing.
Yeah. True.
And it's happening.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for joining us on this 4-part series. It was truly remarkable.
Yeah, it was a very cool experience, and now we can get back to our regular shenanigans.
Yeah.
But I think it added a lot of value to our podcast, everything we learned, and there are going to be, things that we introduced in the series that are going to continue to what's coming.
Yeah.
On this Chutzpah Time podcast. Anyway, we're just rambling over here.
So stay tuned, stay connected,
stay expressive.
Hashtag love.
Hashtag RuPaul's Drag Race. No, just kidding.
Oh. Really important thing. If you don't have cable and you don't know where to watch RuPaul Drag Race, listen to this, Henty.
Ooh.
There's an app called Wow Present. You can do $4 a month, or you can do it for $40 a year. And you get pretty much all of RuPaul's Drag Race. So I highly recommend it. I've been watching RuPaul Drag Race UK, which is hysterical.
Oh my gosh,
it's
they are
the funniest.
Let's just say there's a drag queen named Bag of Chips.
Yeah.
So
and they're like, bag of chips. You're safe. So I'm just saying, like, it's worth it.
Dude, everybody needs some drag in their life, I have to say.
Yeah.
I think they get it though.
Okay. So, till next time. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening. Please follow us on Instagram at chutzpah_time. That's CHUTZPAH_time, where we post updates and reminders so you don't miss any of our episodes or shenanigans. We also are on Facebook and YouTube at Chutzpah Time Podcast, and on Twitter, Chutzpah Time. Thank you again, and goodbye.